We have 6 guys that we think are buys in fantasy football right now. So we're going to draft them in the order that we would prefer them. And I get first pick because I talk first. So I do. And I'm really happy that I get this. And I'm going to go Austin Ekeler first. I think Austin Ekeler is the biggest buy in fantasy football right now. When looking at the last 2 games, number one, obviously you had the injury. But now the 2 games back from injury against Dallas, 10 points. Against Kansas City, 5 points. A lot of people are disappointed in Austin Ekeler. Those first-round running backs this year, Bijan, Austin Ekeler. Now Christian McCaffrey has been injured, even though he's playing this week, or he did play last week. A lot of people are disappointed in Austin Ekeler. Austin Ekeler is 2 touchdowns under expected through week 6. Austin Ekeler, you're talking about one of the most efficient running backs in recent years. Playing on an offense that is scoring a lot of points right now, mainly because they have to because of Brandon Staley's defense. But a lot of this is that Austin Ekeler just needed to work his way back into the offense. I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I would probably bet that Austin Ekeler, over the last half of the season, probably going to do pretty well here. And he's being sold for running back 2 prices. Mm-hmm. At that price, I mean, you're talking about a league-winning running back, guys, every year. And who else do they have there? We saw the Josh Kelly experiment. They don't have anybody else. So with Austin Ekeler, if you can get a running back of this caliber for even a slight discount, even a low-end running back 1 discount,
yep,
I'll take that. I think he's my number 1 pick. I've got to go Austin Ekeler there. I'm curious if you would have picked him number 1, but
yeah, I think I would have. He's got the highest upside of any of the guys that we have on this list
by far.
And we always preach you have to win fantasy football with upside.
Exactly,
you have to.
Yeah.
And Ekeler, of any running back in the NFL, offers the highest upside. It's unbelievable how good he is. I'm gonna go away from what may be consensus on this list, or what you may think is the next most obvious one on this list, just because of the price and how cheap he is. I think he's a huge buy. I think it's going to be James Conner. And James Conner, obviously on injured reserve, not coming back until I think after their bye week, kind of towards the last third of the season. So everyone knows, again, that knee injury, tough. One of our biggest takes this offseason was James Conner at price was an absolutely phenomenal pick because he had, when he played, barring injury, had running back 1 upside. A top 12 producing running back upside in fantasy this year. And he held true to that. When he was healthy, he did. He was getting the volume, he was getting the production, getting the receiving upside, everything we expected while Kyler Murray was out. Now you're looking at James Conner. And you're worried about what he's going to do when he comes back because you're looking at these other running backs who have started slow, coming off of injury. You've seen Jonathan Taylor starting slow because of the snap count. Aaron Jones still struggling with his hamstring injury and it doesn't quite look like himself yet. Austin Ekeler, 2 very disappointing games coming back from that ankle injury. Even Saquon Barkley has been fine. He's been fine, not out of this world amazing. So you're like, what's James Conner really going to do? Is he really worth even holding on your IR, or do you just want to ship him off as a throw-in? We would say not only hold on to him if you have him, but please go buy James Conner. His best football, really in our opinion, is yet to come because Josh Dobbs, even though we knew that he was going to help James Conner to begin the season, we knew and anticipated that Kyler Murray would eventually come back and that Josh Dobbs could only help James Conner's production for so long because it would eventually, his magic would eventually die down. He's a backup for a reason. It's kind of like Gardner Minshew, right?
Yeah.
And I think you're looking at this and you're like, okay, now that Murray's coming back, he's got more passing ability, more volume that he's going to give these wide receivers. And on top of that, he's coming off of an ACL tear. I don't think the Cardinals, who've paid him hundreds of millions of dollars under contract, considering what they even want to do with him next season, are going to want to run him this year. Because if they're going to trade him away, they need him to be as healthy as possible if and when he plays. So I don't think that they're crazy enough to run the heck out of Kyler Murray like they have in the past.
They're not going to.
We're also not playing in a Big 12.
He's not going to be able to.
We're also not a Big 12 offense anymore with Cliff Kingsbury calling plays. So what does this mean? This means Kyler Murray, the short gingerbread quarterback, the gingerbread man, remember that from Hard Knocks?
Yeah. Yes, I remember.
When he can't get the ball downfield, man, he's just going to check it down. Check it down to his running backs. Check it down to his tight ends. I think James Conner is really going to reap the benefits.
When you're
when you're looking at 2020 to 2022 for James Conner, his best months are November and December. It's a straight climb up, man. 9 points per game in September, 12 points per game in October, 13 in November, and 14 points per game in December. I think you're looking at James Conner coming back fully healthy from this knee injury after he gets off injury reserve. And yeah, he's on the last year of his contract. They're going to want to utilize him, man. See what he's got left in the tank. See if he's worth bringing back for one more year after this season. Why not, man? Why not? He's a team captain too. And I know that doesn't carry a lot of weight from a production perspective, but I think in this situation, it actually could because he is a team leader. He does bring a lot of juice to that offense, which has very little right now since they have no quarterback. Like, I think you got to be looking at James Conner when you're making a push in November and December. Absolutely a buy low opportunity here.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, we've been like the biggest proponents of James Conner literally forever, as long as this channel's been alive. So we're going to continue to do that. Yeah. All right, I will take the obvious one here. I'll just go ahead and go Ceedee Lamb here. Yep. With Ceedee Lamb, you're talking about one of the premier wide receivers in the NFL in a year where a lot of people are getting hurt. And now you have bye weeks to deal with. Well, guess what? Ceedee Lamb already had his bye week. You've got Ceedee Lamb for the rest of the season. You've got a guy that last year was in the 82nd percentile success rate against man, 85th percentile success rate against press. The dude's a beast. Look at his route tree. I mean, last game against the Chargers, 19 points. Again, the last 3 games that he's played, 6 targets, 5 targets, 7 targets, and you're like, yeah, domain guys, you want to see more of that. Absolutely you do. And you also want to see more touchdowns. He's also a touchdown under expected for so far this year. So with Ceedee Lamb, what does it tell me? Number one, I think you've clearly seen that the Cowboys are passing the ball more than they have. I mean, like the Mike McCarthy offense passes the ball all the freaking time. And although this hasn't directly correlated yet to Ceedee Lamb getting double-digit targets every game, I do think there's a greater chance of this later in the season as legs get tired, as these teams begin to figure out more and more of the running back game and what that scheme is. Don't say it.
Don't say it.
But again, with the way Ceedee Lamb's performed so far, I'm fine with it. We do know what his ceiling is, though. And I think there are a lot of people that are neglecting that ceiling. And when you think about him having wide receiver 1 ceiling, wide receiver 1, I mean, he was a top 12 wide receiver last year. And where he's at right now, I'm really comfortable buying Ceedee Lamb, and I'm assuming you are as well because I mean we're pretty good about being defenders of Ceedee Lamb. He's a wide receiver 23 right now.
We know what he's capable of. I mean, what he just did last season and what I believe was a worse situation with a worse play caller. And I think McCarthy, especially in the stretch at the end of the season when the Cowboys are going to make a run for that division with the Eagles. They have a lot of big matchups coming up here. Ceedee Lamb's going to have to be at his best. Dak's going to have to be at his best. They're going to have to pass the ball a lot. I mean, you have some of the best run defenses in Washington and Philly. Those are 4 games right there where Pollard is probably going to struggle a bit, and they're going to have to lean on their passing game against 2 very not great secondaries from a fantasy perspective.
Yep.
So that's interesting to note as well. Marquise Brown, man. It just sounded like I took a drink of something. I don't know why I did that. Marquise Brown, man. We love Marquise Brown. We love Hollywood. We knew he was going to get great volume. We knew it. Everyone was telling you this offseason that you shouldn't be targeting any of these fantasy assets on bad offenses, so they were going at massive discounts. And we said, when everyone zigs, you zag. So get Marquise Brown at wide receiver 40 price going into the season. Please do it.
How'd that work out
over the last 4 weeks? 10 targets, 11 targets, 7 targets, 16, and 7 and 7 points over the last 2 weeks. Been a disappointing couple weeks. Okay, cool. That's fine with me, man. Guess who's coming back?
Guess who's back? Back again.
Kyler Murray.
Back. Tell a friend.
Tell all your friends. Actually, don't tell your friends that Kyler Murray's coming back because you can still get Marquise Brown at a massive, massive discount right now.
Do you know that song?
It sounds familiar.
Dang, they're going to think we're uncultured.
Yeah,
I know all the words.
Well,
so
you're not. I am for sure. There is not much for me to really say on Marquise Brown outside of his production this year from a volume perspective, playing with Joshua Dobbs. Josh Dobbs. Okay? Like, outside of this, man, everyone knows that Marquise Brown is a talented wide receiver. Everyone knows that he's a wide receiver one for the Cardinals. Everyone knows that as a route runner, especially against the zone, that he's very good. 81st percentile to be exact. Bet you didn't know that one. But outside of that, man, like with Kyler Murray coming back, I think people are underestimating how significant that is for the weapons in the Cardinals offense. I really don't think they're going to shut him down. I think they have to play him, man. I think they have to play him this year. If they want to ride with them for years to come, or if they want to trade him, he's got to showcase it this year coming off the ACL. He has to.
I agree. I'm going to go with Dalton Schultz next because I want the picture of who is clearly Dalton Schultz on our screen.
Every time I see it, it makes me laugh so much.
We need to, we need to explain this because I think this was a Dynasty Channel joke, but one time producer Sam, I know there are going to be a lot of people.
I can't wait to see who it is this week. It was pretty great last week.
Dalton Schultz is the tight end 10 so far this year.
Is that saying a lot?
No.
Not a ton.
Not a ton. But he's still 61% rostered, and I think it should be higher than that.
That's it.
Look at his last 3 games: 13 points, 20 points, 16 points. I mean, like that's if you're getting that in any fantasy league right now, you are sprinting to grab him. How is he only the tight end 10? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and I think this is the biggest point here is we still have a lot of people asking us like, hey, should I pick up this guy as a tight end for this week, or should I go ahead and pick up Dalton Schultz? Should I pick up this guy and drop Dalton Schultz and whatnot? I'm like, no.
Dalton Schultz.
No. Like, of the 8 tight ends that I'm 100% rostering, if I'm not spamming tight end, Dalton Schultz is one of those 8 tight ends. He should be rostered literally in every league right now because of his production.
And what about his quarterback?
That's going to be our last guy here. It is all because of, all thanks to CJ Stroud. The only reason he's going to be our last pick here is because most of you, if you're not crazy, are playing in 1 QB leagues in fantasy football. Have you ever done a Superflex fantasy league before?
I don't think I have, no.
Yeah. No,
like I don't do,
no. It's like a dynasty thing. It's a dynasty thing.
Yeah.
For the most part, 80, 90, more than 80, probably 95% of you guys are on 1 QB fantasy leagues. And if that's the case, CJ Stroud, absolutely rosterable. You probably want him on your team. You're probably, at this point, we would say consistently starting every single week, which is why we're going to have him on this video, even though he's last and even though he's a quarterback for most 1 QB leagues. Look, with CJ Stroud, talk about overproducing expectations, to put it nicely, kind of laughing at everyone's face after everyone hated on him for literally no reason. Score? Because of his S2 score? Come on, guys. Come on. Leave it all in the past. Leave it all behind. At this point, you should be capitalizing on the discount that you can get CJ Stroud for, man. He's a throw-in. He's a throw-in.
He absolutely is.
In any trade.
And he's already had his bye week.
He is producing like this as already had his bye week. QB 18 the last couple weeks, 15 points, 14, and 21.
Yeah, the only reason he's QB 18 is because he's at a bye.
Yes. He would be a top 12 quarterback without that bye. He will get back to that. Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard, 2 of the best offensive linemen that Houston have, are coming back. CJ Stroud has already produced without those guys with an abysmal offensive line with 0 run game. Get that out. I think you got to be optimistic about CJ Stroud for the rest of the year. With those weapons, I can't believe I'm even saying that. With those weapons, what weapons? Well, apparently Nico Collins and Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz. So, I think you got to trust what Stroud has been doing and count on him to keep producing for the rest of the year and at least be a nice second QB that you can plug and play depending on matchup every single week.
Let us know if we got our order wrong, if we drafted them wrong in your opinion. But say hi in the comments. Do us a huge favor. Drop a like and subscribe if you play fantasy football. Yes. Appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you later.